Late summer in 1994 on the meter gauge railway that runs almost to the summit of the highest of Germany's Harz Mountains. A descending train from the station at Brocken waits in the siding at Goteveg as 7235 storms past on the long 1 in 30 grade. On board, behind one of the 210-2 tanks, which near the 1142 metre summit runs by the main walking route, glimpses of the peak are often visible. Soon the train will cross the service road and then curve around the summit mast before pulling into the station. It's a cold winter's day as a 210-2 tank rounds Eckerloch Curve in deep snow before another of the tanks drifts downhill nearer to Scherke. Back to the summer, and from just below the ski lift on the Wurmberg, a 210-2 tank can be seen climbing into a very distant Brocken station, the red and white telecom mast dominating the mountain even at this distance. Not all steam-hauled trains to the Brocken are headed by 210-2 tanks. 2 out of 4 surviving Malays see service on specials, as here with number 13 climbing north of Dry Annan on a wet spring day, followed in slightly better weather by double-headed and then single-headed 210-2 tanks on the steep curving grade. The 33-kilometre-long railway to the Brocken, completed in 1899, shares the Hartskeerbahn from Wernigerode past Hasserode and Steinerne Renne to Dryannen and Hohne. There it leaves the main line and starts a 19-kilometre climb at 1 in 30 to the station just below the summit. Passenger services to the Brocken were suspended by the Communists in 1961, with the Iron Curtain dividing the mountain. Goods traffic ended in 1987. But after the Iron Curtain came down in 1989, extensive work reopened the line, initially just to special traffic, in September 1991. From Wernigerode, with its imposing castle, passenger and goods traffic continued on the rest of the Hartskeerbahn system throughout the communist years. On clear days, the telecom mast on the Brocken, 33 kilometres away by rail, can be seen from the town's narrow-gauge terminal and loco shed, situated by the main German railway station. The meter gauge system is no longer part of the National Railways. In 1993 it was set up as a separate company, the Harzer Schmalspurbahnen, or HSB, owned by the local communities. Normally, steam locos depart Wernigerode chimney first, returning from Nordhausen and the Brocken bunker first. The turntable outside the loco shed being mainly used to move locos to the right line for taking water before departure from the adjacent station. 17 of the 18 210-2 tanks used today were built for the Hart system between 1954 and 1956 and are numbered from 7231 to 7247. The 18th loco, 7222, was built in 1931 and was transferred to the Harts in 1966. These powerful locos are a far cry from the original three 040 tanks built for the meter gauge system in 1896, the last of which survived on shunting duties at Wernigerode until 1966. (7235) is the loco on the first train for the Brocken today, and after its departure we'll start a detailed look from the line side at the whole railway from here to Brocken top. Westentor was once the terminus of the line, the connection with the standard gauge only being made in 1939. Now it has a small works, the line's offices and the station, with 7233 leaving on a morning train. In the summer heat, water is sprayed to stop the tarmac melting at the busy road crossing with its old German buildings just south of Westendorf station, with 7236 on a Brocken train, followed by 7232 leaving Kirkstrasse. The line to Hasserode was pulled up after construction in 1896 because of disputes with landowners, being relayed 3 years later. On that line, the Gernrode-Harzgerode Eisenbahn Railbus T1 passes, and then 2 trains cross in summer 1994. After Hasserode, 7237 heads into forest. Then 7235 reaches the line's sharpest curve, at 60 metres radius, just before Steinen-Renne. Steinen-Renne has a sad reminder to a forced march of conscript workers who had worked there and were sent to Theresienstadt at the end of the Second World War. The lonely station will soon see 7235 blast into the dark forest, followed by 7233 climbing near Thunkuhlenkopf. steep climb to Bryan passes through the 70-metre Tunkulen tunnel before heading on up the Drangental. Little remains of a previous crossing point at Drangental, provided by a level siding running back from the steeply climbing line. In 1993, the facility was reinstated with a full unmanned loop, and most power, at least on sunny days, is provided by these solar panels. Near to the loop, a wasp is busy at work before 7237 on the 1137 from Wernigerode to Brocken storms through the forest. Overhead the loop, a hawk circles looking for prey, but under the towering canopy of trees, this small snake is safe on the forest floor during a hot summer's day. Before long and back in the loop, two of the large tanks will cross in this dense and interesting forest. The forest is full of small streams flowing off the mountain, encouraging growth of flowers and other vegetation despite the intense heat outside. The damp encourages large fungi growth close by the track, where a Mallet carrying its original Nordhausen-Wernigerode Eisenbahn number 13 will soon race by, double-heading a 210-2 tank on a Nordhausen train. The forest here is commercial woodland, with consequent activity from woodcutters, before double-headed 99s, used to swap over with the loco earlier working from Bryan to Brocken, head up the climb. cutting has created a superb view north of the Bryan Hotel. It's the best spot on the line to see the big 99s in action, as well as Mallet 13, one of 12 built between 1897 and 1901, heading the 1608 to Nordhausen. We'll stay at this lovely spot for a while longer, where in summer foxgloves border the railway and its magnificent display of day-long steam action. The clearing surrounding the S-bend is a lovely place to see the local wildlife, with suitable hides for those not intent on catching just the steam action, which can occasionally see a Mallet-operated special train in amongst the 210-2 tanks and of course the local hares. The distinctive mast on the Brocken gets closer and shows clearly from across the valley to the S-bend, reached by taking advantage of the mass of forest walking tracks. The view across to the railway is superb as a 99 heads the 959 from Wernigerode. After the clearing, the line plunges into deep forest before emerging at the level crossing next to the renowned Bryan Hotel. The grade eases at Bryan the junction where the Brockenbahn proper leaves the main line to Nordhausen. From here the tank locos face an almost unbroken climb at 1 in 30 to the station just below the summit. The station is next to the main road to Schirke, laid out with 3 platform lines, allowing a busy 3-train meeting several times a day. There's a large car park, as cars are banned beyond Schirke, and a visitor centre giving information about the area. On the station is a subway once connecting with the standard gauge line to Elbingerode, which closed in 1945. As the first Brocken train of the day arrives for its servicing stop, Herr Hans Kaklik, the effervescent mine host from the very well-appointed Bryan Hotel, 1 kilometre away towards Wernigerode, arrives with hotel guests keen to join the train for a trip to the Brocken. Not in use today and back at the hotel is Herr Kaklik's specially converted Trabant. With a VW Polo engine, convertible top and numerous other changes, this Trabi is a far cry from the 2-stroke variants still seen in many parts of eastern Germany. Back on the railway, the summer flowers at Bryan's junction have attracted a colourful butterfly, before the 99 accelerates onto the Brockenbahn proper, leaving the Nordhausen line to the right. The HSB operate 10 standard gauge diesels converted to meter gauge in the 1980s, these hideous machines being nicknamed Red Camels. Here, 2 of them haul the unique out-of-use Fairley loco through Bryan. Past the Wild Flowers 7242 heads a rare chimney first working into Bryan from Nordhausen, crossing 7240 on the day's last train to the Brocken. Meanwhile, 7237, with a very crowded Brocken to Nordhausen train, including a through coach to Gernrode, waits outside the station. This loco will swap with 7242, and after 7240 has left, will head off south. The best action here comes from the Brocken trains, heading over the road and then attacking the steep climb through the lovely nature reserve and up towards the legendary Blocksberg, the local name for the Brocken. Until the railway to Brocken was reopened in 1991, Sciarca was the end of the line, and on a sunny afternoon 7237, on a returning train, takes water, none being available at the summit. At the other end of the station, 7240 is also taking water before attacking the climb. The short break gives the friendly HSB people a chance to exchange all the latest news and gossip before both trains leave the Pleasant station. The parallel path from the station is the best way for walkers to follow the railway, at least as far as Ekerloch, although the steep and rugged trail from Sciarca, which is some way below the station, has its compensations with a view back down to the town and over the Harz Mountains. Three kilometres from Sciarca, the line passes the site of the Altbobbahn, or Old Toboggan Run, with the locos storming the 1 in 30 grade in style, before heading out into a clearing another kilometre towards Ekerloch. As 7237 crosses the service road, the plentiful thistles attracts a good cross-section of insects competing for their share of the pollen. Soon to pass by is the horse wagon service returning from the summit, the only way to the top other than by walking or train. From far across the valley which once contained the Iron Curtain and beneath the Wurmberg is a lovely view of the 99 storming over the level crossing as they head towards the Brocken, as on this summer morning in 1994. The line now runs in forest until Goteveg, on its way curving sharply over a stream at Ekerlock, where a walking route crosses the railway. Despite the curve, the locos are hardly eased as they approach and then round this landmark on their way to the summit. The walking route from here is steep and follows this difficult boulder trail, while the railway maintains its steady gradient, curving away from the footpath and heading via the former Goteveg halt. The amount of height to the summit, by whatever route, is clearly shown after this train drifts downhill, while way above it another, crossed at Goteveg siding, reaches the Brocken station. The next main landmark on the line is Goteveg, once a halt, now with just a level siding allowing trains to cross during the summer service, when 8 or more run to the Brocken. There's also a view to Torfhouse, the busiest starting point for those who walk, with the bonus from here of being right next to the storming 210-2 tanks and their packed trains. In peak summer, the Torfhouse trail is very busy, with thousands of walkers a day, and plenty picnicking by the railway, where soon 7232 will use the siding to allow 7244 to climb past unchecked.
Hier steht pfahlfrei, Weiche wieder in Grundstellung verschlossen.
railway continues past Gotha Moor, 1,000 metres high. Until 1989, this area was the border between east and west. A different border now exists, marked only with signs. The Kern zone is the area around large parts of the Brocken summit reserved totally to nature. Visitors must stay on the trails, using this hut to read the interesting detail inside about the moor, while the 99s continue to storm up the climb here and then over the service road nearer the summit. The walk up from the level crossing to the summit, now on the service road, passes a lonely grave, a sad reminder of an American air raid 3 weeks before the end of World War II. Over on the far side of the Brocken, the line continues its climb, crossing the trail to Ilsenburg. And so to the summit of the Brocken. 7235 completes the 33 kilometres from Wernigerode, having truly stormed the climb of nearly 900 metres at an average grade of 1 in 37. From Stein and Arene, the average for 27 kilometres has been 1 in 33. It's a lovely summer's day, and for those off the train and those who've walked, there's plenty of opportunity to enjoy the views, take some refreshment, or visit the interesting Summit Museum, before 7233 heads the next train to Wernigerode.
Nein, ohne Bockbrot. Wir kommen jetzt wieder.
Near the telecoms mast is the weather station that in November 1984 recorded a wind speed of 273 kilometres per hour, the highest ever in Germany. No such problem today for those enjoying the view or walking the Rundwanderweg, or circular footpath, right around the top of the Brocken. There's always a chance of catching a glimpse of the bird life, and certainly the sight of another 210-2 tank storming past Gotha Moor some distance below. The walk around the summit path passes the Brocken garden, where a collection of the flowers found in the forbidden kern zone can be seen. A 99 departs the summit on a lovely summer's day, but conditions in winter are usually very different, with deep snow, poor visibility, storm-force winds and sub-zero temperatures. We'll return to the savage winter weather on Brocken Top later, but first watch the 99s from the start of the snow line at Hasserode and then both sides of Dryannen. snow stops and the sun shines on the national park near Scherka. The beauty of the winter can be appreciated as a Brocken train approaches, and then the snowplough returns from work on the summit, unusually hauled by a 99 which had partially failed at Scherka, swapping with the snowplough's normal diesel. At Scherka, 7237 departs to Brocken, and then amid the busy activities at this pleasant station, 7232 heads off to Wernigerode. The afternoon draws on and the last visitors leave just before the final train of the day blasts away from the station into the dense forest. Walkers to the Brocken have been busy in the snow, near where the next 99 heads over the service road, followed by a Malay drifting down with a special, before we reach the sharp curve at Eckerlock. 7232 blasts over the crossing below the summit in dreadful weather. By the time the next train reaches the Brocken station, conditions have become appalling with storm-force winds, snow and fog, making a visit to the mountain top in winter an unforgettable experience. With some relief, we move from that dreadful winter weather to a sunny day on the summit, when the February blizzards are long forgotten. Down below is Go to Moor, and the height the next train has climbed from the moor is very clear, as it completes the full circle around the mountain top. These rocks form the Devil's Pulpit and Witch's Altar, the Teufelskanzel and Hexenaltar. Legend has it that on every last night of April the devil and witches meet here for feasting and merrymaking to see out the winter, an event called Walpurgis. That legend is celebrated every year, with devils and witches displayed in nearby towns. One of the best displays in 1995 was at Braunlager, with the devil overseeing a feast with local witches. The railway run decorated trains on Walpurgis evening, the first as long ago as 1901, and they still attract enormous interest. In 1995, the main special, which was only allowed as far as Scherke for many hours of drinking and merrymaking, was preceded by a surprise and only partly decorated train heading for 2 hours on Brocken summit. The main 1995 Walpurgis train provided a tremendous spectacle on its way to Scherke, double-headed by both operational Malays, with the locos, train and passengers very well decorated for this unique annual event. Close behind the main special was the Nordhausen-Walpurgis train, headed into the National Park by 1920-built 060 tank 996101. May the 1st, and the sun shines on the rock, proclaiming Brocken is free again after its 28-year closure to all but the occupying Russians. Apart from a few remaining snowdrifts, the Walpurgis celebrations have indeed seen out winter, allowing the outdoor field kitchens, with their lovely view of Wernigerode and its castle, to be prepared for the trains already on their way to the summit. Near the Ilsenberg trail crossing, the spring sun melts the last snow, feeding a small stream and reviving plants and insect life, intent on making good use of the short growing season, with the storming 99s never far away. Evening approaches, and before the last arrival there's a quick check for the waiting train, while the deserted tables are thoroughly searched by the mountain bird life. The lovely Harts forests provide the setting for the railway on most of its journey to the Brocken, and here near Dry Annan the steam action continues as a 210 2-tank slogs around the S-bend on its way to the mountain peak. It's summer near Scherka, and the 833 from Wernigerode has still over 400 metres to climb. From here on the locos work their hardest, and we'll soon follow 7222 from Ekerloch on a summer's day as the 210 2-tank on this fabulous railway storms the Brocken with its 7-coach train, arriving at the summit just as the sun breaks through the mist and cloud.